We have a tiny bit more time. I know Barbara has another question. Do we have one more question? Okay, I'll let Barbara and this gentleman in the front.
Thanks very much. I've heard that the National Democratic Party might be outlawed. Have you heard the same? And should it be in order to give space to all these new secular groups that are forming?
Yeah, if you look at social media, a lot of people seem concerned that if the role of women in Egyptian society or even culture isn't changed, then you won't have a complete, deep democratic transition. I'm just wondering if there's anything that you have observed with that, if you have anything in your programs to deal with that. I'm not sure how big the problem is, but a lot of people have raised concerns about this. If 50% of the people are women, and some women are maybe politically or economically marginalized, then can you really have democracy the way a lot of the Egyptians and a lot of us would like?
On the issue of women in society, I mean, I think, the issue of gender is something that's carefully studied at USAID and looked at in all of our programs. The question of women in democracy is just, it's always a march. It was a march in this country that we live in. When my great-grandmother was born in this country, she couldn't vote either, right? So women couldn't vote at that time. So it's always a march, and it's a central part of what we're thinking about and what we're doing. I think one of the things that we all observed on television, and that Egyptians observed, and that people across the Arab world observed, is that when you looked out on the streets in Egypt during the time of change, there was a very significant participation of women in that process. There's been, I think, inside social media, there's been a very significant amount of female participation. But has that translated into a full seat at the table? I mean, I think it's clear that it hasn't yet translated into a full seat at the table, but that we're committed to working with a citizen-led, with an Egyptian-led process to empowering all Egyptians to shaping their future. I think my colleague may be better suited to the details of the NDP
certainly,
question.
I've heard people speaking about the idea of a ban being necessary for National Democratic Party. As I noted in my comments, we actually have trained members of the National Democratic Party in our USAID-funded program, and there are definitely reformers within that party that were attempting to effect change from within. In most cases where a ruling party has been banned in a new political environment, in many cases, courts later on have reinstated those parties. It just typically is not a necessary step to take, but that is obviously for the Egyptian government to decide, the Egyptian people to decide. I would just say that the brand, I think, is so damaged at the moment, the party's brand, that one conversation you do here in speaking to members of the National Democratic Party is, they are looking to change themselves, either a new party, something that links, their reformist beliefs with that of the bigger reform community.
Thank you. Given the turnout today and the many questions, clearly there's enormous interest in this subject. So thank you, Hady, for your insights, and Tom as well. And let's hope we can reconvene in a few months to follow the progress.
With pleasure. I hope that was okay.
Thank you so much.
I hope that was okay. Hey, with pleasure. Nice to meet you. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.